Are we live now? We have excellent connection. We are live, baby. Yeah. Hey everyone, and welcome to 5 a.m. trading. I'm your host, Dumpy Dave, and on this channel we wake up early so we can make money while everyone else is asleep. And I gotta go to bed earlier because I'm very tired. So let's look at Bitcoin, let's look at Cardano, maybe some VET, VeChain, maybe Ethereum, but also let's look at the big picture. What's the bigger picture? The bigger picture is the S&P 500 traditional markets. If they go up, Bitcoin go up. Bitcoin dominance and the dollar cost and the dollar index. First, I'm curious to see what the dollar index is doing. Yeah, well, obviously it went down yesterday because we saw a huge pump on Bitcoin, and usually they take the opposite route. So, and the dollar index is a index that shows how well the dollar is doing compared to all the other foreign currencies. So if it goes up, if it's getting stronger, then Bitcoin is getting weaker because more people believe in the fiat money system. This is how you can interpret it. And if it goes down, then Bitcoin does better because I imagine it like this, interpret it like this: if everyone loses hope in dollar and the fiat system, then people try to load up on Bitcoin. So okay, yesterday it went down, but also it hit a resistance level, support level. So basically we want the dollar index, dollar currency index, we want it to go down, of course, because then Bitcoin will go up, and and what we can do is draw some lines, of course, and we had some huge resistance line here, which is actually an X-ray from the past. It goes all the way from here because it had a couple of touch points. Anyways, once we went up above it, it's quite likely that we might continue up, but hopefully not soon, and hopefully we will go back inside this wedge. If we go inside this wedge, we just dipped inside it on the dollar currency index. If we go further inside it, it will be awesome, because then of course the Bitcoin would continue upward. But how likely is it? Actually, it's quite likely, because once again we have this divergence. We had this bearish double divergence, I could say. This divergence on RSI, so higher high, lower high here, and also a big divergence here. Lower highs but higher highs here. However, there's one thing which is actually not so comforting. Very often when I see these kind of let me show you. When I see these kind of channels, so you have basically one rising channel on the price, or wedge, but rising structure, looks almost like a channel to me. Okay, you could even do it like this, then it's looking more like a channel. So you have a rising structure channel here and falling here. So very often what I see is that after this it just goes upwards. And yeah, so it's basically probably acting like kind of bullish divergence, because we have bearish and bullish divergence at the same time. If we connect these lows, and here this would be another low, you know, here we would have here the lows at the same time, which would be rising, and this would be bullish. So you just have to wait and see. I hope it goes back inside this channel. Okay, dollar currency index, this is the story, and we can just hope and wait. We'll see tomorrow, or in about 8 hours we will see what the candle prints. Yeah, we'll have to check the DXY in 8 hours again. Okay, S&P 500. This is the traditional markets. We check them every day, because if they go down, then Bitcoin goes down, and vice versa. And yesterday, believe it or not, we had another all-time high. It's just insane, just going up and up and up. I don't know how sustainable it is. S&P 500, if you don't know, it's like a stock. It's an ETF, but it's like imagine like an Apple stock, but not. It's like a stock, but not of one company, but 500 most best performing stocks of USA. So they put it all in one ETF, and if it goes up, then everything is bullish on Bitcoin. This is what I predicted, actually. Not predicted, but this is what I thought might be possible, and that we go up further along this trend line. This is a trend line from back then. If we connected these lows, then we would have this trend line. We broke down of this trend line, then we created a new one. And this is what I expected it probably to happen, but we'll see how it goes. So if it continues like this along this trend line and then goes up, then we would basically have quite a bit of time, and it might also extend longer, something like this, and then in end of September go down and do something like this. Might be before it dumps. It might dump, but it didn't dump for a super long time. This was the longest dump, last longest dump in September, October 2020 last year, but then it created a double top and just went back up. So it might happen again with no problem. But if it dumps first like this, then Bitcoin might dump very strong as well. And Bitcoin did dump at this point last year heavily. And also, why this duration? Why did I draw it like this at exactly this point? Because the duration seems to repeat itself. You see this duration, it's here, it's the same. It's here. It seems like about 1 month apart or something, we create a new low. But we recently created this new low on the daily, so it might very well happen that like mid-August we will create the next new low, and up until then we might be very bullish. So to me, the traditional markets look good. I like it. Let's see what kind of candles we will print in about 8 hours, because it will have also some influence on Bitcoin. Okay, we had the dollar currency index, we had the S&P 500 for the big picture. What else? Okay, let's look at the big picture of Bitcoin. it's a little bit all over the place, but seem to be important, all these trend lines. So we went up like crazy here, all the way up to 40,000 something, and we were rejected exactly at this X-ray line. You probably don't see it. Let me change the color and thickness. This is the very fat pink line. Okay, let's change to maybe orange. This thick orange line, I call it a X-ray. Basically we just connect the recent biggest stops of mid-June, then a couple of yesterday, and it goes back from here. So let me switch to 4 hour real quick. I want to see where this line starts. Okay, this X-ray line might be me just cherry picking some lines so they align in this, maybe, but maybe not. However, we have this line. Okay, there's one important line I want to show you, what I see as important right now, and this is this black trend line. Let me change this back again, like this. So this black line seems to be important because it's kind of a neckline of a newly created W-like structure. So as you may know, my strategy is to draw big trend lines going like 30 or 90 days ago, and these are the king trend lines, and if they get broken, then we have big movements. For example, recently we had this king trend line which went back for 40 days or something, and as soon as it broke right here, okay, let me remove everything so you can better see it. So we had this king line from here, this fat king line went all the way back like 40 days, then as soon as it broke, we had some big movement, and it's always, not always, but very often it's the case. If we break these lines, also we had here some queen line. If we connect these, so it went up and up and then up, and as soon as we broke above it, we had a big movement. And here also on the king line, we had this and this and this, so many touch points, and this touch point, as soon as we broke above it, you see, we try many times, and then after we break it, we go up. So it's quite reliable actually. So and what is the next big line of this kind? Well, we have to look, and one of these lines seems to be this black line. Let me change the color to orange once again, because we connect these two tops, this and this, you see. Okay, I might even change it up a little bit, maybe something like this, if I connect the closes of the 4 hour chart, and right here, actually, oh yeah, now I see something. So if I connect the exactly, so beautiful, look on the 4 hour chart. Actually, let me for a moment remove everything so you can see it clearly. So So you can see it very clearly from here, from the 4-hour close all the way back here. We connect to this. So this is the first 4-hour close back, way back, that we connect. This the second highest, and look, it's exactly at this point that we got rejected. Exactly at this point. Wow, this line seems to be super important, but it's on the logarithmic scale. The further back I go with the time, the more I try to use logarithmic scale, because it uses percentages, as I believe. But let's see how this line looks on the regular scale. Yeah, it's almost the same. If I see the same, you see, I switch to arithmetic, and it's the same height. Wow, super important, this line. Okay, let me switch back and get all my drawings back, because I need them. But still draw this line. Alright, let's make it fat and orange. Very cool. So we have this huge line. This will be our next important resistance line, meaning in order for us to be bullish and super bullish and all the way up to 100,000, all we need to do, first of all, what we need to do is break above it. So let me paint it again. We had this huge stuff happening, then we went all the way up like here and got rejected, right? And what we need to do now is to break it. So maybe we will. Looks like a big ass. Okay, actually let me see if you have some comments. Who knows? Okay. So yeah, super important line. And let me just repeat. I repeat it on every live stream, but I really like it and want to hammer it down. In my opinion, the most indicators are not really necessary, because at the end of the day, what matters is these big as king and emperor lines and queens. So the queen lines are those who engulf about 10 to 14 days. For example, if you go here, you see this pink line? Yeah, it's about 9 days. So the smaller ones, if it's like 4 to 5 days or 7, then it's a princess line. A king line is always a trend line, which connects the tops of the past 40, 30 or 20 days, some in this range. So just now we found ourselves our next super important point. Alright, so what we need to see is something like this maybe, and eventually break of this new line. It might happen here, it might go all the way up again from here. The price seems to be bouncing out of up from this little princess line. We had this rising wedge days ago, this rising wedge, and Da Vinci J15 thought it would go down from here, but it didn't. It went up, and now it might be a good support. This princess trend line might be a really good support. just have to see. Okay, so what else is important here? Okay, I have my Fibonacci here. Let me take it back. We need the 61.8 as well. So yesterday I drew some Fibonacci lines, retracement. But I have to redraw it because I drew it from here. I thought this is the move, the highest move, but it goes even higher, all the way up here at about 40,700. Okay, this is the lowest point. Okay, let me switch to 1 hour so we have more overview. Let me hide the drawings. Oh no, I cannot do. So okay, Fibonacci retracement is what we can use to estimate where the price might, how much deeper the price might go before it bounces back. So if this is our highest point, this would be our lowest point before the run recent. Okay, we hit the 0.5 level at 37,000. We went below it, and we almost hit the 65.65. Oh no, okay, it's almost, it's not exactly. And probably this is because we had this newly created support line. This is probably why we didn't go all the way up to 0.65, but it might happen. And now let's look at the lower time frames, trend lines, and see what we can draw here. Okay, I drew some lines here. They are confusing. Not sure if we can use them. This is, by the way, yesterday's 5-minute line that I was checking, and as soon as it broke this trend line on the 5-minute, as soon as it broke, yeah, we went up. But I didn't open any longs here because I was just too tired. I was doing something else. So okay, 15 minutes. What kind of lines can we draw here? The question that I am asking myself right now is where will the price go from now? Will it bounce, go back up, or will we go further down? This is the question. So to answer this question, I'm trying to find some reliable trend lines on the lower time frames. We had some on the higher time frames, but I need to see some on the shorter time frames. So let's look. So we went down, we bounced so far up from the princess trend line we had before, from the this was the top of the rising wedge, and now we can create this trend line on the 1 hour chart. What other trend lines can we draw? Right, maybe this one. Let's just play around a bit. No, this might be one. This might be a trend line. Is this a channel? No. Okay, looking for trend lines. So basically, if I want to open a trade, I need some trend lines which break. If these trend lines break, it's quite a good position to open some trades. Okay, and at this point, this is all we got on the 1 hour. We can't do more actually. So what might happen is that we create some kind of double top. So this would be the first top, like, oh shit, this would be the first top from here to here, and then the second top might be something like this, and then maybe something like this, and down. And if we would break this structure, so if it appears something like this, if we break here, for example, then we might go inside this rising wedge again, so go significantly lower, and then it would be a conventional double top. If this neckline breaks, then we go even lower. So this is these are the structures that could possibly appear, and we could trade them. So one scenario is, like I said, just double or triple top along this line. Another scenario would be, which I would like more, is a double top, a double bottom, maybe something like this, and then go up, because we would have here the neckline which would break and we could trade higher. So right now I don't see anything else of importance on the 1 hour time frame. Let's switch to 15 minutes. Maybe we can recognize some W's, double tops, double bottoms here, or trend lines that we can break. Okay, let's see. Maybe we can connect these. Maybe let's switch to 30 minutes. Okay. Okay, on 30 minutes. We might connect these lines or even these lines. Okay, this looks like a valid structure on the 30 minute. We had many touches right here. It almost looked like a dragon or a head and shoulders. So if we go down like this, then it could go even lower. So this trend line seems to be a bit important. I would not want to see it broken. Also this trend line. Okay, what else? Let me see if you have some comments. No comments yet. So okay, go back to 15 minutes. What's up with my music? What? I need music. Okay. No, this is not a trend line, because for a solid trend line I want to see something like this. So if this would look like this and then like this, then it would be a solid trend line for me. But this trend line is just, you know, it's kind of weak, but it broke out. So here, and you see, if these weak trend lines break, then they just go sideways, like, you know, it's not if we would see something like this, okay, something like this and like this, then the move after breaking is usually a little bit more volatile. But if we have something weak like this, what I often see is that the move just sideways, something undecisive. Okay, I'm looking for trend lines on 15-minute, and this also looks like, yeah, I think this is one of our best trend lines, and we might even be able to connect these lines all together. You know, see from here to here. Yes. Let's switch to 5 minutes. Yeah, this looks like a structure. Probably goes all the way back to here. Let's try to connect to here. Okay, let's see on the 15-minute, 30-minute. Yeah, on the 30-minute looks like this structure. It almost looks like a W. Okay, we might be looking at this trend line, and if it breaks up, then we might open some long. Okay, let me connect to this one. To me it looks better like this. So this is probably the best I can get right now for the short-term trading. This red trend line, let me change the color to something. Okay, green. I like this green. Okay. So we have this kind of support. It's like a falling wedge almost, which broke out and then went down. And on the 5 minutes. So if we manage to break above it like here, then we might see some nice movement. We might also go down here. Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. We could do some super short, small scalping, but I don't want to do it right now. Maybe later this day, because you can do it basically all day long. So if you want to scalp right now, this might be a trend line to look for. This little pink trend line, because it's on the 5 minute. seems to. So if we break below this trend line, we might go quite a bit lower, but I would take profits very quickly. So for example, if we break here, we might just bounce from here. So if you scalp it, then take profits very quickly, at least part of it. So okay, that's it for now. I will be back in half an hour or something. Talk to you soon.